know that the conference in the Eastern Cape has gotten underway. We just saw earlier on the chairperson, the national chairperson of the ANC, Gwedemantashe, briefing and opening officially this conference which is underway. But we know that an ANC conference without any litigation will never be an ANC conference. We've just heard a bit earlier on that there is some sort of an application to affect this specific conference, but it deals with some of the disputes when it comes to the Rubusana region. And just to give us an understanding when it comes to this application which we have seen, we are joined by Ondela, who's one of the people who have filed this application. If you could explain to us, you have filed an application to the court. It is the issue around the branches in Rubusana. Can you explain what are the issues that you have raised in your court application?
Well, our court application seeks to ensure that an existing court order, interim court order, is enforced. Remember, we went to court because of manipulation of branch general meetings in Rubusana to seek an urgent interdict. Now, we are seeking court to bar branches of Rubusana, which set their BGMs between February and March, because those branches are still a subject of court come the 31st of March, or 31st of May rather, and they might be nullified by court. So we are protecting conference by saying court, but rather applying to court to remove and recuse them from conference, so as to ensure that at a later stage we don't have a contaminated product out of this particular conference due to branches that were mischievously allowed to participate in a conference when they were not supposed to. We have also avoided a situation wherein the subject, which is the interim court order, is interpreted in different ways through politicking and pedestrian interpreters. So we want court to be the final arbiter and give us a clearer indication, but also to ensure that we don't have people who are not deserving participate in this conference.
Does this also include those voting delegates whose results will be quarantined?
We are avoiding the discussion of quarantine because it might not be totally adhered to. We know that in the early morning hours there were branches of Rubusana and people who are alleged to be delegates who are from the branches that are subject of court currently in relation to our interim and existing court order, who are registered. You have seen them in the visuals when the conference was opened. So we are applying to ensure that court is specific, it's clinical in relation to which branches from Rubusana ought to not participate. That will, by automation, remove the delegates from those branches. Because the quarantining situation, we've learned in the past that people are one moment quarantined. When voting comes, they are no longer quarantined because of those who have an upper hand in the administration processes of the conference. So we're avoiding all those dynamics and dilly-dally.
How will the voting of these voting delegates from Rubusana have an impact at all when it comes to the results that will be seen in this conference?
Well, I would tell you without any fear of contradiction that the whole chaos of stealing of branches in Rubusana, the sitting of branches where people who are deceased are scanned, people are incarcerated, their ID numbers are scanned, where people who are in hospitals and other provinces are scanned, was engineered solely and fundamentally to benefit the Oscar Mabuyane campaign. So it will have an impact on them. But however, we believe that the conference will still meet the required threshold of the number of branches to be able to proceed as prescribed by the ANC Constitution. So we don't have, it does not adversely affect us. We are just saying that things must be done right. And people must not employ a heist in Rubusana to sustain their livelihoods and the livelihoods of those that they wish to have elected out of this conference.
So if it doesn't affect you, why then are you going this route?
Well, the mere fact that you might have insurance protecting your property and your assets does not mean that you want to have thugs stealing your property and vandalizing your property just because you then later on claim. So your first priority is to protect your rights and so that is the context that we are protecting ourselves and that of conference, because remember the context is that there's an existing interim court order which is being blatantly ignored because people are busy wanting to apply their own logic and common sense in relation to whether or not branches must participate, which is why we've won the court, so that court becomes the final arbiter in relation to whether or not these branches must participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is, of course, Ondela. He is one of the people who has filed this court application, saying that those in Rubusana, you would have heard a bit earlier on when those delegates from the PTT talking about the issues around Rubusana and other regions whose votes will be quarantined, and of course they are saying that they shouldn't be allowed at all to be even here and to be even participate in this process. I'm just going to ask my colleague Luyanda just to show you that we are outside the East London International Convention Centre, and of course this is where the conference of the ANC, the 9th Provincial Conference of Eastern Cape, is indeed taking place. And of course we know that it is Babalo Matikizela versus Oscar Mabuyane.